We've been traveling a lot in the last 10 years, trying to make the most of our travel window. In that time, we've seen a lot of the places you see behind me. And we've also come across a lot of different ways to plan a trip. And over the course of 10 years, we've accumulated our 10 favorite applications and websites that help us plan and enjoy trips. Today, I want to share those with you. Number 4 is my favorite. First of all, there's 3 things you need to know about why we chose the apps that we did. Number 1 is that we're independent. We don't like to do pre-planned vacations and all-inclusive kind of adventures. We would rather plan everything ourselves and be our own boss on the trip. Number 2, we don't travel spontaneously. We've never left home without knowing where we're going to spend each night by way of lodging and at least having our major reservations covered. And number 3, we're cheap. We like to find the best deals that we can and save money so that we can travel more. Those are the basis for what you're going to see. Over the course of our travels, we've tried maybe a dozen different search engines to look for cruises. The one we keep coming back to is Vacations to Go. So what you have on the screen here is the typical Vacations to Go homepage. What I've done is I've selected vacations from the month of June to Alaska. You can do something as simple as this, or you can do something that's much more sophisticated, and there's some other key features that most people don't know. So first of all, let me try the simple choice. I say, I want to go to Alaska in the month of June. Show me the deals. And what we will come back with is a list of 189 cruises. That can be overwhelming. What do we do about that? Vacations to Go also has another section down here which is called a custom search. So if you choose that more search options, you'll come up with another menu that is more sophisticated. So look at what I've done here. I've said, okay, I want to go to Alaska, but I want to go sometime between the 1st and the 15th. I want a cruise that's between 7 and 10 days long. I don't want to pay more than $1,500 a person. I want to go on either Holland America or Princess or Norwegian. I want to make sure that Ketchikan is one of the stops. I want to sail out of Seattle or Vancouver. Much more sophisticated. So what does it come back with? A list of 21 cruises. It has one of the most flexible search engines of anything we found. But what happens when you search all those and then you say, I don't want to decide now, but I don't want to have to come back and do this all over again. So what Vacations to Go has, you look see this little heart up here on top? You can save cruises. And when you come back in, you can say, click View My Saved Cruises, and it will show you ones that you've looked at before but you want to keep. You can have at any point in time a list of cruises that you're interested in. One more thing that people don't realize. People think of Vacations to Go as being for ocean cruises. Vacations to Go also has a river cruises. It uses the same search engine type capability. So I've said here, I want to go in the month of June, and I want to go down the Danube, I want to go on AMA waterways, and I want a trip that's 11 to 16 days. It's going to show me 38 departures. I'll say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go on Viking. There's 39. So, and then if you want to look at those, here they are. So, and then you can click on here and it will give you the details of that cruise, day by day. So, to me, this is the best overall search engine. It's easiest to use. It's very intuitive. Vacations to Go also has a section that is their 90-day ticker. These are cruises that are going to sail within the next 90 days and have last-minute markdowns. Okay, so here we're going to demo Google Flights. What I've done is I've already said we're going to do a round trip, we're going to do 2 people, and we're going to be in economy class. And I'm looking at a trip from Seattle to London. It's going to come back and say the best price you can get is $1,298. And that flight is shown right down here. What Google Flights does first is it picks what it considers to be the best flights. It's a combination of how many stops and the price. But down here they'll show you something. I'll click here to expand it. It says $1,298, the cheapest price, is typical for this flight. It normally ranges from $1,100 to $1,600. Then what happens, you say, well, I'm not ready to book this. I want to keep track of this. So you can click this on right here. What it will do is send you email updates when the price changes for these flights. Now the other thing you can do is you can look at these flights. All of these will be their cheapest fares. So if you want to have seat selection, you're not going to get it with the cheapest fares. So let's pick one of these. That $1,480 price, $1,481, this is what it gets you. You're the last to board, you have no seat selection, you have no ticket changes. If you want all of those things and you want a first bag per passenger checked free, then you need to pay $1,881. This gives you the option to check all sorts of things quickly, track it, keep going back and forth. For us, this is by far the best way to look at flights. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of Airbnb. What I've done is already gone into the website and I've put in a request for a 7-day stay in Bruges, Belgium in December of this year. What I want to show you is how easy it is to use. So here comes up a map of Bruges showing the center part of town. It shows where the things on the screen are. So if you go roll over here, you see how the right changed. Then this one is $481. This one is $389. So it shows you exactly where they are. One of the things we said we liked is that the app is just the same. So what it does is gives you access to a good way to communicate with the host while you're traveling. So, but you can see how it looks just like what we're going to pick here, which is the townhouse in Bruges. So if I pick this townhouse, you're going to see that this has 70 reviews. It gets a 4.96 on a scale of 5. It's a person who's a superhost, so this is one of the things that we look for. That's one of the reasons I think we've done well, is we've stuck with people who know what they're doing. They have a lot of reviews. So our two criteria are, we try to always work with a superhost. We try to always work with someone who has a history and has a good reviews, and we literally read every review. One of the reasons that we like this is because of our personal history with this. If I go up here and say, okay, let's look at the trips we've taken. We have been to all of these places that show on the top. And every one of those was a good stay. Some are better than others, but they were all good. But now, here's the part. In 2020, we booked a major trip. After COVID came along, we decided we're never going to book that trip again. But you see all of these dates starting right here that say 2020. We booked all of these. We paid for at least a portion of all of these. Airbnb refunded them all. We were not out anything in that period. So that's 17 stays. So that's one of the reasons that we're loyal to Airbnb. Airbnb lets you live like a local. If you, we've discovered that hosts are a valuable thing for us. They help us navigate the town. They're like having your own concierge when you're there. We really like Airbnb. We have never been burned by it, and we highly recommend it. Hope you do too. Okay, up to now, we've figured out what we want to do with cruises. We figured out our airfare to get us the main air flights, and we figured out places we want to stay, hotels or Airbnbs. Now we got to figure out how to put them together. So connect the dots, if you will. So enter what I think is the coolest app that we experience when we're travel planning. It's called Rome to Rio, and their byline is discover how to get anywhere by plane, train, bus, ferry, and car. Now, if you're in your home country, you generally know how to get from city to city or place to place, what will be the best mode of transportation, and sometimes there might be a couple of different options. When you go to a foreign country, those options are different and sometimes very varied. So, here's my example. Let's say you're staying in a hotel in Rome. So you can put in this line, any city in the world, any other city in the world, and it'll tell you how to get there. But we're being more specific. We are staying in a specific place in Italy, and we want to go to Venice, to St. Mark's Square, Piazza San Marco in Venice, and we want to see what our options are. I guarantee you will not have thought of all these. So you click the button, and almost instantaneously you see I'll do all the options. Well, here's Rome and here's Venice. Okay, so how do we get there? Well, we can go by train, which you can see goes through Florence and Bologna, or we could go by bus and a ferry at the end, or we could drive it, or we could fly straight from the two, or we could go by train and take a ferry, because remember, Venice is an island, or we could do rideshare, which I'll explain in a minute, or we could fly to an intermediate port and then take a train. Okay, so all of these are options. So let me go back to rideshare, which is one you haven't thought of before. So if you look at the prices of all these, it's going to say its recommendation is that the train is the best way to get there. The cheapest way to get there is a bus and a ferry. But one of the options to get there is rideshare. So what is that? If you click on this, you're going to walk from your Grand Palace Hotel, 26-minute walk, to a rideshare location that they give you. And then you're going to ride from there. It's a 6-hour and 30-minute shared vehicle ride to Piazza San Marco. So, and once you get there, it's going to be a 27-minute walk from the place they drop you off to get to Piazza San Marco. Okay, so that's one I bet you hadn't thought of. Let's go back. So let's look at train. Let's say we decide to take a train. So the cool thing is this just doesn't tell you you're going to get on a train. You can click here and it will say you're going to walk 17 minutes, 4,750 feet. You're going to go to Roma Termini. You're going to catch the train here, and once you get to Piazza San Marco, you get a 20-minute walk. Okay, so now you can click down here, and here's all your train options. Here's the time of day. If you go up and put in the actual day, this is departing now, but if you put in the day, it will tell you all the details of that day, and then it will be specific as to price. So you can decide to take fast trains, slow trains, overnight trains, all sorts of, it keeps going. So that's Rome to Rio. It is awesome. You should try it out. Okay, so you've decided on a cruise or not. You've decided your lodging, your planes, your connections between sites. Now you want to zero in on places that you want to go and how to find some help in seeing some of the major sites. So some of the stuff you can do on your own, but sometimes you need help. The two major sites we've used have been Viator and Get Your Guide. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate for you Get Your Guide. Viator is probably the largest of these, but Get Your Guide is very significant, and it's especially strong in Europe. So I'm just going to show you. You can see here the web page and how you can search by experiences, but most often what we do is we search by a location. So you can do a search and it'll say, okay, here's you have options of types of tours to take, but here's the top activities. Here are the major sites to see, and you can go down that list. Here's things that are unique to Paris, and here's a list of all the activities. Then once you decide on this, one of the things that we really like, first of all, it has a very safe credit card system and works very well. Another thing is they don't charge you for the tour until 2 days before the tour. So we really like the fact that, well, I'll look here at some of our past listings. We like the fact that once you do make a tour, it's a seamless integration with your phone. So I can make the tour, set up the tour here at home, and then when it actually comes time, it will show the voucher, and I can get an electronic ticket to get in. So the other thing is, you'll see here, this was a booking that was canceled. Our cruise ship was set to sail into Salerno, and then something happened and we wound up not being able to go there. We were able to cancel it without any penalty. And so that's one of the nice advantages with the fact that they don't bill your credit card until 2 days before the tour actually happens. So we have had great success with them. We really like it. We think you'll like the web page, and I think you should really check it out. So Viator or Get Your Guide. Before I get to the last 5, which mostly focus on the apps we use while we're traveling, let me invite you to like and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, and it really helps out the channel and helps us to be able to bring out more videos like this. So thanks in advance. When it comes to travel in Europe, we've been very fortunate. We have not been pickpocketed over the course of 10 years. We haven't had any major security issues. We have, however, been scammed a few times, or at least cheated. And most notably, it's happened with taxi drivers. One of the things that we have come to look for now when we go overseas is an app that you probably already have on your phone, which is Uber. So you may not have thought of using Uber. So what you see on the screen right now is an Uber ride that we took. This one, I booked it, show on the screen here. This is from Hard Rock Cafe in downtown, or the river, or the waterfront in Nice, France, to the Côte d'Azur airport. So you might have thought of taking a taxi, but the wonderful thing about Uber is that you have a price agreed to up front, and you have a location that's agreed to where you meet, and it's all clear, and you don't have to exchange money and wonder if you got cheated in the process. So Uber is a good thing. The next app on our list is another one that you might already have, but if not, you need to consider downloading it before you go to Europe, and that's the app called WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the most used messaging app in the world. It has 2 billion with a B users on a monthly basis. So don't be surprised if you come to another country and you're staying in an Airbnb and they ask you, do you have WhatsApp? So we can communicate to you details about your arrival, and you can tell us when you got there. You may have a taxi driver contact you. We've had all of those. So I'm going to give you an example here. What you're doing is you're sharing your phone number with someone in order for them to be able to connect with you, but you're not actually using your phone connection. So as long as you have Wi-Fi, you can leave your phone on airplane mode and you'll be fine and communicate without any cost to you. So here's an example of one where this was a driver that we wanted to connect with at the airport. And we didn't know when we would make it through customs and be at the airport. The London airport, Heathrow, is a huge airport. And so we were in constant communication with him back and forth. Here's where we are, here's the process we've gone through. Let me know when you're through immigration. We gave him all the sequence and we wound up connecting exactly, arranged a place to meet. And then, because we had him and his connection, we were able a couple days later to say, hey, we're going back to the airport. Could you pick us up and take us back to the airport? And what would you charge us for that? And so it's very valuable, and I wouldn't leave home without it. In the last app, we showed you a dialogue with the taxi driver who was waiting for us at Heathrow Airport. You may have wondered how we could get a driver to agree to meet us and coordinate all the details of flights and customs. That's because we engaged him using this app called Welcome Pickups. It's headquartered in Europe with services at all the places that you see here. And with guaranteed English-speaking drivers, it's one of the most stress-relieving travel services. Think of it as an Uber app with a driver who's more engaged and available to do more. We used this for the first time in Athens. Most personable driver we've ever had in any city. Went back to Athens more than a year later. We're surprised to have the same driver. They keep track of passengers and offer the drivers the opportunity to serve them again. Our kids used them on arrival in London. When they needed a second ride to a cruise terminal, they contacted the driver again and arranged to be taken to Southampton with a stop at Stonehenge on the way while he waited for them. Here's an example of how quickly you can book a trip. If you've watched this far, you already know that one of my favorite apps is Rome to Rio. So think of this next one, City Mapper, as Rome to Rio city by city. So what I've done is I've said, okay, let's pretend I'm in London. So get me somewhere in London. I'm staying at this particular hotel, and I want to go to Greenwich, which is where Greenwich Mean Time is determined. It gives me 5 suggested routes, which use either underground and a combination of other routes, or uses buses and a combination of the other routes. And it will take anywhere from 47 to 52 minutes, cost anywhere from £2.80 to £4.70. Or what you could do is do bus only. One bus, 67 minutes. Take you longer, but you have no changes. Or you could take a ferry. So the ferry will take longer and it may cost a little more, but it's a beautiful scenic ride. Or you can take cycles, you can rent scooters, you can take cabs, and here's what it's going to cost you for a cab, and here's about how long it's going to take. Now let's go back to the ferry, which is how we did it when we were there. You choose one of these, it's going to say, here's how long it's going to take you to the wharf, here's what platform you go to, you take this ferry direction, and when you get off at the ferry at Greenwich, it's going to be a 2 minutes to leave the station and a 13-minute walk to that address. The cool thing is it combines all of the different transportation options that you have within London. They have a great taxi service, they have a great bus system, they have a great underground, they have a great ferry system, and this will link them all together for you. It's wonderful. Okay, we've come to the final app now. So thank you for hanging in there, all of you who did. So now you've made it. You've made all your reservations. You've gotten to where you want to go. You've gotten all the logistics, and now you're in Italy and you're settling down to a wonderful dinner at a local restaurant, and they hand you a menu that looks like this. What are you going to do now? The last app to save the day is an app called Google Lens. So let me show you what it does. Turn on Google Lens. You hover over the text that you want and you say, help, I want to translate this. And all of a sudden, Farona a Finerli becomes guinea fowl and chanterelle. Or the next one down becomes sliced duck breast and warm salad. How cool is that? This is just one of the neatest things out there. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any comments, please leave them below. We'd love to hear more ways in which you found to make traveling better. Until next time, safe travels.